This video's gonna contain spoilers from the off, so I'm warning you now. The final episode of Foundation Season 3 has just been released, and not only was this the best season finale that the show has ever put out there, but I think it could well be the strongest episode that it's ever released in general. With the episode being titled The Darkness, I suppose it was right under our noses the whole time. The play on words was smart, it caught me off guard, and even though there was some subtle foreshadowing to Brother Darkness having blood on his hands way back in episode 2, it really did catch me off guard. Whilst it always felt like it was building towards the Mule versus Gaal, I'd actually say that it kind of felt like it took a bit of a backseat, which I'm not really that happy about, but I'll get into more detail on that in the next section. So let's not wait any longer. Here is Foundation Season 3 Episode 10, Ending Explained. Brother Darkness. Well, who'd have thought that the breaking of the thread at the end of the Prime Radiant, which was predicting an eternal darkness, wasn't the Mule destroying everything, but it was actually Brother Dusk claiming the title of Brother Darkness, him destroying every Cleon clone that was in stasis, utilizing Empire as a weapon so Demerzel's programming would kick in and ultimately get her destroyed. And most importantly, he betrayed his brother, killed him, and did a form of ascension that we never would have expected, ascending the middle throne as a sole leader and a totalitarian dictator. Brother Dusk just went all Mule on us. I'm kidding, obviously the end of the thread wasn't that, but this was a small part of it for sure. All throughout this season, Brother Dusk's ascension and the threat of him being destroyed had been plaguing his mind, and he was avoiding it with everything that he could. Wanting his life to have meaning and holding on to the fear of leaving a world that he'd helped manage when he felt he had so much life left within him, wanting to be consequential rather than the conciliator. With him putting on the robe and becoming Brother Darkness, he truly embodied the role. He didn't have his nanites removed when the time came, and instead went on to decant every single clone that was present in the palace, meaning that he'd be the last Cleon to ever grace the throne, and with his nanites, his damage level would always remain pretty low and he'd be able to heal quickly. As he said, "You'd never be able to kill me." The opening shot of the episode was Dusk standing on the balcony overlooking the kingdom from the palace that we all thought he'd be departing, and there was a sense of him still holding on to something and not quite being done. And the episode pretty much finished, showing that he wasn't going to be going anywhere. So it was a true full circle moment, and it worked really well for the character arc. In my mind, I always felt like Dusk was going to do something horrific when there was blood on his face in episode 2, and the fear of him being destroyed was made instantly present. When the blood was dripping on his face in this episode, it made me think back to that second episode when there was blood on his face then, and that was also the episode where the Navacula was introduced to us. So it was always going to be Dusk that caused the problems. It was under our nose, we just didn't truly see it. What we know about the Cleons is that their mind starts to fade and their cognitive functions start to diminish, and I really do feel like we saw the beginning of this during the finale. He was laughing erratically like a madman as he was quite literally running through the palace, destroying everything that the Cleon stood for. When he said the line, "I will not have my world continue without me," it showed just how much he was willing to fight for Trantor, even if it meant killing those that were closest to him. And he knew that he wouldn't be able to do it with Demerzel in the way because of her programming complex, meaning she'd ensure that he'd be destroyed for the betterment of the dynasty, so he took it upon himself to destroy her. When Dusk killed Brother Day, that was a moment that really did take me by surprise as well. He killed him because Day would never have agreed with him. So in knowing that his nanites were gone and that he was disposable, Dusk ensured that he got rid of him at the first chance possible. I even thought Dusk having a drink in front of a dying Day was a cold move, and in my mind it showed a real change in the character. With him now holding the Prime Radiant, him sitting in the middle throne, it very much feels like if and when the real Mule, which was revealed to be Bayta, goes to take Trantor like is predicted in the vision, he's gonna be anticipating her. Gaal vs The Mule. Well, the show went in a different direction to the books and made Bayta the Mule, and do you know what? I respect it. It all kind of makes sense. When you think about it, whenever the Mule took a planet, Bayta was on it. Bayta was obsessed with being loved by people with her fame. Magnifico instantly fell in love with her, and we didn't question it. The person that we believed was the Mule followed her orders when she told him to leave Empire, and Tauran absolutely adored her. So the love that she was receiving from the public was all manifested and created by her powers. The twist in the story is that the boy in the flashback that we saw wasn't actually the mule. It was changed slightly so that it would throw the scent off Bayta actually being the mule. However, everything that happened on Rosem was what she did experience, almost being killed by her parents because they wanted to have the baby instead. This was a twist that came after Gaal got into a fight with who we originally believed was the mule, and personally, I was a bit disappointed with that fight. This felt like it had been the entire season in the making, and I thought it was a little bit underwhelming for the most part. Don't get me wrong, when Gaal essentially got him inside of her walls within their minds, and she was able to kill him, I thought that bit was executed really well. But everything that came before it, I just thought the choreography was pretty weak, and Gaal felt quite weak for the most part of it too. I'm presuming that the person that was posing as the mule was just an innocent victim that Bayta selected so that she could hide her identity and never truly be seen as a threat. It makes it even darker with it being revealed to be Bayta, because when you think back to episode 3, she was peeling the skin off of Tauren when he was threatening him. When Gaal killed who we thought was the mule, she could still sense the mule's presence and somebody being inside of her mind. And then, the moment that I saw those bare feet walking in, I was pretty much screaming at the TV. Do you know what I thought most during this scene though? Pritchard is so weak. Gaal needs to cut ties with him because he's a real weak link for her and he can't be trusted at all. All I'm saying is it's a good job that the Second Foundation was given Haven in the library on Trantor because he's probably leading them right back to Ignis. Gaal managed to get the upper hand over Bayta when Bayta was trying to take control of her and show her the love that would have converted her. She planned on doing this with Magnifico's Visisona, but Gaal and Co had got Magnifico to play their song instead, and it meant that Bayta's hold on Gaal essentially dropped, allowing her to escape and ultimately leap out of Inba's office. When Gaal screamed at Bayta, "Get out of my effing head," that line cut through and it was so powerful. Bayta wasn't killed, which to me showed that the mule is going to be featured in the next season of the show. Next stop for her is most likely either Ignis or Trantor, where she'll look to find the Second Foundation, and if not, then she'll take Empire with full force. We also saw that Gaal had lied to the Selden that was inside of the vault, initially offering to take him to Selden so that he'd be able to get out of his prison, which was the vault, but in telling him that Selden was dead, she left him behind. Demerzel's death. Day and Demerzel's relationship is something that's gone on a massive journey throughout this season of the show. What started with a brother Day that pretty much had no regard for Empire or Demerzel turned into one where he put the both of them at the center of it. Day walking through a pretty much lifeless palace was something that had a real eerie feel to it, and then when he saw Demerzel in front of him, the bowing showed just how much his mindset had changed. He was essentially rendered to the state of a child whilst in front of her, wanting to be cradled and cared for, even feeling a weight of responsibility for the other robots in saying, "Look at what we did to you." Day wanted to free Demerzel because he felt like she was the answer to being able to stop the darkness, but she wasn't able to clasp with the brazen head because it went against her programming that Cleon the First put in her to serve Empire. So Day took it upon himself to use the tool to see if he could get it to work himself. However, Demerzel was called into the room with the clone tanks in, which she was ultimately destroyed by Dusk in, because her programming kicked in again and got her in a paradox where she had to sacrifice herself in order to preserve Empire. And that very thing did end up happening, meaning that she was now no more. There was a scream that Demerzel let out right before she was destroyed, and I kind of interpreted that as it being her true self. It was the pain that once the Cleon's programming was eradicated, she was finally able to scream. That was the true Demerzel in her form of releasing the fear and pain that she was in. On her way to the room before all of this happened though, she told Quent to go to the Imperial Library and ask for Ni Telemoris, and she ultimately led her to the Second Foundation's first speaker, which was being housed in the safe haven that was originally there when the robots were hiding during the Robot War. I believe this showed that Demerzel did do the right thing that she was questioning in the previous episode with Kalle, and she allowed the Second Foundation to hide there, meaning that the vision that Gaal had could still be on the horizon with the battle taking place in the Imperial Library. However, with Demerzel now out of the equation, it seems like she wasn't the very thing that gave up the Second Foundation. She helped them. Kalle's ending scene. Whoa, was Kalle on the moon and looking over Earth during the ending? It seems like she was. Maybe Foundation is a little closer to home than what we realized. In an episode full of shocking moments, it concluded with one that was pretty shocking as well. With Brother Day being successful in getting the brazen head to work, we saw that it started the process of clasping, which is when it reaches out and looks to communicate with other robots. This is the very thing that would have freed Demerzel. However, with her now being gone, we saw that the clasp was being found by Kalle and a robot that she was accompanied with. It's been heavily implied and theorized that Kalle could actually be a robot herself, or even have been created by the likes of Demerzel at one point in time. With her being alongside another robot and them both being aware of Demerzel, I wonder if this is a theory that could well hold up. There's always been a strangeness to her and she's only ever been a minor character. But now, with her recognizing the clasp, sensing that somebody wanted her to be involved, and having a fully functioning robot next to her that looked absolutely menacing, we could well see Kalle transition into becoming a central character that holds lots of importance. If she was created by the likes of Demerzel in the time before, or even knew her, the robots could have something to say about what's on the horizon. Kalle did say, all of the pieces are now in place, and as we know, Kalle has a strong connection to the Prime Radiant. So everything seems well set up for what's on the horizon in Season 3, which is the Mule's continued battle, which could lead to the eternal nothingness. My review of the episode. I thought this was a really good episode of the show. I think it was the best finale that the show has put out there, and it's probably the most memorable episode that we've ever had as well. I know it was a good one because I felt like I blinked and it was over. The hour absolutely flew by, and it was an episode that I just didn't want to finish. This was one that was genuinely full of action no matter where it cut to, whether it be the Mule and Gaal fighting, Demerzel being destroyed, Dusk destroying the clones, or Dusk killing Day. It was just chaos from start to finish, but it built in a way where the pacing felt like it was gradually increasing until it hit the crescendo. When it came to the performances, I thought Brother Dusk absolutely stole the episode. It kind of felt like for a while that he was going to take center stage, and he took it in the strongest way possible. Like I said earlier, I do kind of wish that the battle with Gaal and the Mule lasted just a little bit longer, and it didn't feel as easy as what it did. I understand that they're probably saving the big battle for the next season when we see the proper one with Bayta, but I just felt like it was all over and done so quickly. What I would say I loved though was how surprised I was that the Brother Dusk storyline dominated the finale. I didn't expect it to at all. The show really kept something big up its sleeve, and it paid off because it was probably the story that I was more interested in when comparing it to everything that was going on with the Mule. Brother Day's journey was something that I particularly liked in this season of the show. I started this season being a bit fed up with Day and being disappointed because I missed the old version of him. But in seeing him taking on Sunmaster 18, returning to true form and altering his mindset completely by the end, I was back on his side and I thought the character just had some really great growth. In a season that didn't have much Harry and Gaal, I thought it actually thrived. We met new characters, there was mystery at the heart of it, and the season really did pick up when it got past the halfway point. So it gives me hope considering it seems like there might be many faces that might not be returning in the next season. Foundation Season 3 has come to an end, and it's genuinely not only one of the best sci-fi shows that Apple produces, but it's one of the best shows that it produces, period. Before I finish the video, I just want to say thank you for tuning into my breakdowns on the show every week. It means a lot. There have been a lot of talking points, and it's been fun diving into all of the theories with you, so thanks for that. So, there you have it, Foundation Season 3 Episode 10, Ending Explained. If you enjoyed this video, then please do hit the like button and subscribe, it'll mean a lot. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.